Welcome to Trial of the Hollywood Sex Therapist Killer, the harrowing and tragic story of Dr. Amie Harwick, who met a tragic end when she was allegedly thrown off her third-floor balcony by her stalker and ex-boyfriend, Gareth Pursehouse. Found clinging to life, but later succumbing to her injuries, Amie's death has raised many questions, with answers to be revealed in court. Join us as we dive deep into the ongoing trial of Gareth Pursehouse, the man accused of this heinous act, and as we seek justice for Amie.
In the matter of People versus Pursehouse, we have all jurors here, minus juror number 12. We have counsel here and the defendant, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for indulging us. Unfortunately, as I stated, when the defense attorney contracted COVID, and somebody on the prosecution team as well. And so they're better now. Mr. Franzel, I think, was a little sick, and I'm at the moment I have scratchy throat and coughing. I tested myself. I'm okay. I mean, you may see at times that I put on my mask, especially at sidebars and so forth. So I apologize, but thank you for indulging. And you know, these things you can't control, unfortunately, and you have to deal with it. I know we're going to lose some jurors. Alternate number 2 with the Italian trip and so forth. Some of you have planned conferences and so forth. We'll try to accommodate you with that, just so we can get everybody in here, okay? Now, juror number 12, we've lost, unfortunately. He became somewhat ill. I think it's semi-serious and so forth. Who did we get as an alternate, David?
Number 3.
What, 3? Where's alternate number 3? Okay, you are now alternate number... Where's number 3? Are you 3?
Yeah, number 3 is
keep getting confused about what we are.
number 3 is Judge.
Yes.
Class of 9964.
9964. Oh, okay. You take. Where's juror 12?
Juror 12 was the one that we just excused.
I know, but I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're in the right seat. How did you wind up in the right seat? Did you already know that?
No, I think he was. He needed to be close.
Oh, I was going to say that's amazing. Jeez. Okay. Oh, he did. Oh, that's right. He had because of problems. Okay, so you're juror number 12. Congratulations. We are prepared to go forward. We had a witness on the stand who is also sick, so we're going to take him out of order and call another witness in his place, and then take it from there. And I am aware. I have the calendar here, and a number of you have things to do. We're going to try to accommodate everybody, but you know these things happen, so bear with me, if you will. All right. Thank you. Okay, you may call your next witness.
The people call Miss Sarah Rollins.
Okay. Rollins, did you say?
Rollins, right?
Okay. Why did I have Broxton? Is that somebody else?
There's another.
Oh, that's after that. Okay, Rollins. Ms. Rollins? Yes, if you could approach the witness, stand down here, please. If you could raise your right hand and face the gentleman.
You solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Please state and spell both your first and last name.
My name is Sarah Rollins, spelled Sarahrollins.
All right. If any of you have a problem hearing her, raise your hand. I just asked you do have a problem. Can you just lean into the microphone when you speak? Okay, do you have a soft voice?
Is that better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
May I inquire him?
Yes, please.
Hi, Miss Rollins.
Good morning.
Do you know Amie Harwick?
I do.
And how long have you known her?
If she were alive now, it would be 13 years.
And how did you two meet?
We met working at an event.
And doing what?
We were serving ice cream sandwiches.
Now, were you two close in your almost 10-year relationship, I would say?
Yes.
Did you celebrate special occasions together?
Yes.
Birthdays, things like that?
Yes.
Did you ever travel together?
Yes.
How often would you say you saw each other over the course of your friendship?
Mostly monthly,
Okay.
if I had to guess.
What about in the year leading up to her passing? How often would you say you saw each other that year?
Mostly monthly until that month, definitely.
Despite seeing each other monthly, would you say you communicated pretty regularly?
Yes.
Was that through phone calls or text messages?
Yes.
In the time that you've known Amie, did you ever see her smoke any tobacco products?
No.
Ingest any sort of nicotine products like vaping?
No.
Now, I want to turn your attention to February 10th of 2020. Did you see Amie that day?
Yes.
And where did you guys see each other?
We went to her home and we went on a walk or hike around her home, and then we went to dinner nearby.
Now, did you go to dinner or do a walk first?
We first did the walk.
Now, what did you do on this walk?
We caught up, just like friends would, talked about things that were going on in our lives.
How long would you say that walk lasted prior to going to dinner together?
Probably 2 hours at least.
And how long was dinner?
It seemed to be long.
Now, during your time together on February 10th, did you and Amie speak about something called the XBiz Awards?
Yes.
Had you not talked about the XBiz Awards prior to your meeting on February 10th?
She had mentioned that she had ran in to her ex at that award show. But it had occurred, right before.
Now, did she talk to you about the XBiz Awards during your walk?
I don't recall it so much during the walk as I do during dinner.
So during dinner, you guys talked about the XBiz Awards?
Yes.
What did she talk about took place at the XBiz Awards?
She told me how she had ran into her ex, a very old ex of hers, and that he kind of went a little crazy and was triggered when he saw her and got into fetal position on the ground and was crying and reciting texts that they had from a long time before.
When she was talking to you about this interaction with an ex-boyfriend, she indicated to you that he was crying?
Yes.
You used the word he'd gone crazy. Did she say those words to you?
I don't recall her exact wording of it at this moment.
But it was something to that effect?
That's what was expressed to me.
She talked to you about him getting into, did you say a fetal position?
Yes.
Did she at any point talk to you about the tone of his voice when she had her interaction with him?
I don't know about the tone of his voice, except for that when she was expressing it to me, it seemed just kind of chaotic. That's just how I imagined it.
What was her demeanor like when she was talking to you about this interaction with her ex at the XBiz Awards?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. What was Amy's demeanor when she was talking to you about her interaction with her ex-boyfriend at the XBiz Awards?
She's very articulate, very well-spoken, very intelligent, and obviously she has a lot of knowledge in the mental health world.
But did she appear upset?
She seemed very stressed by it to me.
Did she express to you how that interaction with her ex-boyfriend at that award show made her feel?
She was scared, I know she was scared.
And how do you know that she was scared?
She'd spoken about things that he had previously done to her.
Objection. Non-responsive.
And without going into specifics, Ms. Rollins, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Motion to strike.
Second. Go ahead.
Now, without going into specifics about the past, did she express to you why she was, or how she was scared?
She was scared of what he might do to her, to harm her, or even her clients.
Objection. Speculation. Non-responsive.
Well, clear that up first of all before I rule on that.
I'm sorry?
Clear that up first of all before I rule on it. I mean,
Sure,
is that
absolutely.
something she told you, or go ahead?
Sure. Did Amie tell you that she was scared?
Yes.
You said something to the effect of she was afraid that he would harm her or her clients. Did she express that to you specifically?
Yes.
All right.
Now, when she told you that she feared harm to herself, did she indicate that she was scared of her personal safety?
Objection. Leading.
The same.
In light of the 402 ruling, Your Honor, I was
Trying to pinpoint.
correct.
All right. Why don't you try to re-ask it?
Sure. Did she indicate any sort of concern about her personal safety?
Yes.
And did she talk about any sort of measures she may take as a result of her fear for her personal safety?
I don't recall any measures that she said she would take at that point. But she did tell me about previous measures that she had tried to take.
Now, did you see each other again after having dinner and going on that walk on February 10th?
Yes.
And when did you see each other again?
Shortly after, on Valentine's Day.
Did you have plans with Amie?
Yes, she arranged plans for us to celebrate a Galentine's that evening.
And what did you guys decide to do?
We went to a burlesque show hosted and produced by one of her friends.
Where was that burlesque show?
That was at the Globe Theater in Los Angeles.
And do you know about what time you arrived at the Globe Theater?
I can't recall off of the top of my head right now.
Okay. Would 8 p.m. sound about right?
Yes.
And who else did you meet with at the Globe Theater?
It was Amie and her friend Rebecca.
Had you met Rebecca prior to that day?
That was my first time meeting her.
Were they already there when you arrived?
Yes,
Did you take any pictures while you were at the Globe Theater?
we did.
You know what? I'm going to show you a photograph that was previously marked. As People's 12A. Do you recognize this photograph, Ms. Rollins?
Yes.
Could you please identify who's in the photograph?
Amy's on the left in the light pink dress and the leather jacket. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. Just put your hand over
I know her as Miss Tosh, to the right of Amie, who is a producer for the event. And that's me. with dark hair. And then to the right of me is Rebecca, who I had met that night.
And so the record reflects you were identifying individuals from the photograph as I was pointing to them with my finger. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is a photograph that you had taken at the Globe Theater when you met with Amie and company.
Yes, that's a photo that we took together.
Now, did you guys have any plans about your outfits for the evening?
We didn't discuss anything, but it was Valentine's Day. So
Now, do you recall any accessories that Amie was wearing that evening?
it looks like she has maybe 2 rosaries on.
I'm zooming into the photograph of 12A and I'm pointing to some necklaces that Amie is wearing. Are those necklaces that you recall her wearing on that day, those 2 rosaries?
I didn't notice them that evening, but I can see that she's wearing them.
Now, do you recall about what time you left the Globe Theater after the burlesque show?
I don't recall at this exact moment.
It was 9:15-ish, sound about right?
Yes,
Did you go anywhere else after the burlesque show?
we did.
And where did you guys go?
We went to Rebecca's place of work nearby, and then we also went to the Nomad Hotel to have dinner. Or appetizers, I guess.
And while you were at the Nomad, did you take any photos there?
We did.
Now, at this time, Your Honor, the people are holding a photograph depicting Amie Harwick and the witness, State Avenue Marcus Peoples 52.
Yes, Mark.
I'm showing you what's been marked as Peoples 52. Do you recognize that photograph?
I do.
Can you identify who's in the photograph?
Amie on the left, and myself on the right.
And this is a photograph that you took with Amie while at the Nomad that evening?
We took it together, yes.
Now, following your appetizers and hanging out at the Nomad, do you know about what time you left?
I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact time right now.
Now, do you know about, let's say, around midnight? Does that sound about right?
I think so.
Do you know where you went after the Nomad?
I went to my cousin's house in Echo Park. That's where I had left my car, and then I had Ubered to the Globe, so I went to go pick up my car from my cousin's house.
So from the Nomad Theater, you took an Uber to Echo Park,
Yes.
where your car was parked,
Yes.
and then you drove home.
Yes.
About how long would you say it took you to get from Echo Park to your house?
I don't recall right now. Probably 35 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
But once I was driving in my car.
Did you and Amie communicate in any way after you parted ways at the Nomad?
No.
Did you receive any communication from her that evening?
Yeah, I checked my phone and I had one text message from Amie. That was once I got home, so 45 minutes later when it was received or so.
At this time, I'm holding 2 pages of text messages. May that be marked collectively as People's 53A and B?
Yes.
showing what's been marked as 53A. Do you recognize these series of text messages?
I do.
And how do you recognize these text messages?
The blue ones, or all of the ones with the timestamp, are coming from my phone. I'm texting Amy. I have 80 unread texts, and she sent me a message at 1:02 a.m. asking, or telling me, send me the pics on the green couch.
So let me just break it down a little bit here. You talked about a text message in blue that I'm pointing to with my pen. Is that a text message that you sent to Amy?
Yes.
Now, there are text messages that have white writing with no kind of a blackish background. Are those text messages from Amy to you?
Yes.
I'm pointing to one text message where it says, send me the pics on the green couch, marked at 1:02 a.m. Is that a text message that you received on February 15th after your Valentine's Day gathering at the Nomad from Amy?
Yes.
And I'm pointing to a photograph that we looked at earlier. Is this your response to Amy?
Yes.
And what time did you respond to her text message?
I started sending her photos at 2:05 a.m.
Now I'm showing you what's been marked as people's 53B, which appears to be just a zoomed in version of those text messages. Is that correct?
Yes.
So again, you receive a text message from Amy at 1:02 and you respond with a photograph at 2:05.
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to Amy?
Verbally?
Yes. Or in any way, in any form.
Oh, it seems like at 1:02 a.m. was the last time she contacted me.
So is this the last communication that you received from Amy? Was at 1:02 a.m. on February 15th?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Rollins.
Good morning.
Detectives interviewed you on February 16th, 2020. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And Robert Koshland was present with you during the interview.
He was.
And during that interview, both you and Mr. Koshland asked the detectives whether they had gotten the security camera footage from Ms. Harwick's house. Do you remember that?
I think so.
And Mr. Koshland specifically said to do it fast.
I don't remember that part.
You testified on direct that you and Ms. Harwick went on a at least 2-hour walk on February 10th, 2020.
Yes.
Was that just a walk around the neighborhood near her house or on Beechwood Canyon?
It was around a lake that was by her house. I don't remember what it's called, but I have photos from that as well.
The Hollywood Reservoir, right?
I believe so.
It has like a dam on one side, and you can see the Hollywood sign in the hills.
I believe so.
So Ms. Harwick was an athletic person, right?
She was physically fit.
She went on runs.
I don't know what her routine was.
She had a background in dance.
Yes.
And, like you said, she was physically fit. She worked out and stayed in good shape.
She appeared to be in good shape.
How many times had you been to her house at 2086 Mount Street, do you think?
Was that her last address, where she was living?
Yes.
Probably only a handful of times.
Had you been out to the balcony that was next to her bedroom?
When she gave me a tour, yes.
Okay. I have in my hand what I'd like to be marked as defense next in order.
You're at double M.
Sorry, M?
Double M, yes.
Okay.
Is that a photo?
Yes. It's what appears to be a photo of Miss Harwick. May I approach?
Yes.
Ms. Rollins, is this a picture of Miss Harwick on the railing on her balcony?
Objection, foundation.
Is that a picture of your objection to what foundation in terms of the railing?
This is the date of the photograph and whether she has personal knowledge as to when that photo was taken.
Wow. Did you assign a date to it?
No.
No, I didn't think you did.
You may answer.
I don't know what the railing looked like exactly.
Does this look like a picture of Miss Harwick on her balcony?
It's definitely a photo of Amie on some sort of fence.
Okay. And you'd been out to the balcony, you said, when she gave you a tour?
Yes.
But you're not sure whether this is a photo of her on the balcony?
I don't know.
Now, at the time of the interview with detectives on the 16th of February, you indicated that Mr. Koshland was there the whole time, right?
Right.
And while you were doing this interview with the detectives, there were people gathering at Mr. Koshland's house.
Is that a question?
Yes.
What was the question?
Isn't it true that there were people gathering at Mr. Koshland's house while you were having the interview with detectives?
I believe he does say that in our interview. Yes.
Do you have a recollection that people were gathering at Mr. Koshland's house at the time that you were having this interview with detectives?
Objection, speculation.
Did you? No. He asked, do you have any recollection of people, you independent recollection, while you were being interviewed, that people were gathering at the house?
I understand your question. I don't completely remember.
Okay.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a transcript of the interview?
Yes.
Okay. If I may just have one brief moment.
Yes.
Actually, I'll move on. One of the reasons, so at the time of the interview, you and Mr. Koshland were receiving lots of messages about Miss Harwick's passing, right?
I believe that he mentions that there were he was receiving messages.
Were you receiving messages about Miss Harwick's death?
Not that I recall.
Were you and Mr. Koshland concerned about how her story would be told in the media?
I'm not sure.
Do you recall telling the detectives that you hoped that her story would be able to be controlled?
I don't recall saying that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a transcript of the interview?
Yes.
All right, this is page 12 of the second transcript, transcript number 2. So if you could please read from line 19 to 28 of page 12 of transcript.
Read it to yourself if you want to.
Yeah, read it to yourself, not aloud.
I'm sorry, I wasn't done.
Did that refresh
finished.
your recollection?
A bit.
And isn't it true that during the interview with detectives you expressed that that you had concerns about how her story would be told by the media?
What I just read, none of that was coming from me. I think my abbreviation is the letter S.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the key on the transcript?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Showing the cover page of the transcript, 2 of 2.
Oh, thank you.
So if you could just look right there at the legend and then look up when you're done.
Okay.
And do you want to look back at page 12 again?
Yes.
Okay. So if you could please reread lines 19 to 28.
Okay, yes.
And have you reread them?
I understand, yes.
Okay. So isn't it true that you expressed concern to the detectives about how the media would tell her story?
Yes.
And that you expressed a desire that you hoped it would be able to be controlled?
I hope that she's portrayed as the woman that she is. And not a victim who was naive. And, you know, that's what I meant by that.
Okay. Objection as to narrative at this point. Sorry, one moment. Prior to your testimony today, did you speak with Mr. Avila or Ms. Mariano about your testimony today? Recent to today.
Catherine, is that your last name?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you speak about the facts of the case?
I went over my interview with the detectives via audio and transcript, and then also the preliminary trial transcript only.
My question was whether you spoke with Ms. Mariano about the facts of this case.
I asked her what Mr. Pursehouse could be facing.
And that was the only discussion about the facts of this case. Is that your testimony?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, nothing further.
You'll be right.
One moment, Your No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
Fine, now you may step down. Thank you. May call your next witness.
The people at this side call Mr. Patrick Turner, Your Honor.
What's the last name?
Turner.
Fine. All right.
Gareth, we have about just a couple of minutes for the witness to get into the courtroom.
Yes. How long is it going to be? I just don't want the jury sitting there.
We ran to the restroom for a moment.
Oh, he did? Okay. He's coming, all right. What page is he on your list here?
I'm sorry,
What page is he on your list? Is he on it? He's not on the list?
this is a late edition.
What is? Okay. Is it Officer Turner, or how do you refer yourself?
Just Patrick Turner.
Okay, Mr. Turner, if you would face my question.
Good evening, Your Honor. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give and the cause now pending before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Please state and spell both your first and last name.
Patrick Turner, PatrickTurner.
Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you do for a living?
I am an engineer with the LA City Fire Department.
What is an engineer?
I drive the fire engine to and from incidents, mitigate fire and emergency responses, medical responses. Yeah.
Do you have any other training?
I am also trained as a EMT and as a paramedic.
Now, what were you assigned to as, or what was your occupation specifically back on February 15th of 2020?
I was also an engineer at Fire Station 82.
Now, on February 15th at around 1:40 in the morning, were you at the location of 2086 Mound Street in the city and county of Los Angeles?
Yes.
Why were you at that location on that date and time?
We were called out as an engine company, and we responded to that incident. I don't remember the name of the type of call it was, but we were dispatched.
And was that at around 1:32 in the morning?
Yes.
Do you recall what time you actually arrived?
I believe we arrived within 5 to 10 minutes.
Do you recall if there was any sort of delay in getting to that location?
I do remember that it was a unique street. I don't believe I'd ever driven down that street before. It was on the west side of our district, so it was fairly far away, as it's we encompass the Hollywood Hills for our district. So I do remember it was on the west side, and it was down a street that I hadn't really even been on before.
Was it a narrow street?
It was a narrow street, and it was like up a hill as well.
So I know you said as an engineer you drive a fire truck. Was it hard to navigate up to that residence?
Section leading.
Yes, that's sustained.
Now, would you say that the location of where you, or 2086 Mound Street, caused any sort of delay in arriving to the location?
Maybe it may have hindered us by a couple of minutes, perhaps, because I believe I had to park the apparatus a little bit further away than I normally would have, and then we had to walk up to the house.
Who else were you with during that time?
I was with a captain and 2 firefighters along, inside the engine with me, and then there was LAPD on scene.
Were any of the other fire department personnel an EMT?
They are all EMTs.
Were any of them paramedics?
No.
Now, can you describe what you observed once you arrived on scene?
Once we arrived on scene, I remember walking up to the house, just thinking it seemed like a unique looking house. It was large. It was dark. It was late at night, early in the morning. LAPD's there walking us through. And it took us a while to get from the front, and they were escorting us to the backyard where they were explaining a little bit what we were walking into.
And when you say they were explaining, are you talking about law enforcement explaining?
Yeah, just LAPD was, they were the ones that greeted us, and they took us basically to where the victim was laying in the backyard.
When you say they were explaining something to you, is that something that customarily happens when you report to a scene?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can answer.
Yeah, we arrived on scene. It's typical if whoever's calling us out, whether it's just a public person or if, in this case it was LAPD, we kind of just give us a little rundown of what we're expecting. We have if it's a patient or if they have a person in custody, they'll just let us know, okay, this is kind of what happened, this is what we're seeing, and we're going to lead you to where we need you to do your assessment.
You said that you were led to the backyard. What did you observe once you actually got into the backyard?
We walked through down these stairs, I believe, to the backyard, and when we went outside, we were shown where the victim was laying, and then there we saw her laying on the ground.
When you say you saw the victim, what was her state at the time you observed her in the backyard?
Just upon seeing her from a distance, I initially thought she was a dead victim. The LAPD had told us that it was a fall from the balcony, about 2 to 3 stories in height. So I remember looking up, seeing the balcony, that it was quite high, and that she had fallen from the balcony onto the concrete, and looking and appearing lifeless at the time upon my immediate assessment, just from seeing her.
Did you take a closer look at her once beyond just your initial glance?
Yes, of course. We proceeded to, we walked through, we all entered the backyard, we had our equipment with us, and then we went to go ahead and assess the status of the patient lying on the ground.
Now, I know you said that you're an engineer by occupation. Why is it that you were hands-on with the victim, seeing that your primary duty is to drive the fire truck?
Exactly. Well, that's just one of my duties. If there is any instance where there is critical patient care that's involved, I'm always going to jump in and also lend a hand. And in this circumstance, this is definitely a critical patient, so I felt the need to assist as much as I could.
Your Honor, at this time, the people have a DVD of body-worn video made at the marked as People's 54, and there's an accompanying transcript made at the marked as 54B.
Yes, what's the duration of this?
About 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, Your Honor. 20 to 30.
Transcript was what?
She said B should be A.
Is there 54A?
I'm sorry, should I reverse it?
It says DVD and transcript. So mark the transcript A. Right? No.
Permission to distribute the transcript, Your Honor?
You have a copy for the court? All right.
More of the trial of the Hollywood sex therapist killer is on the way. Press subscribe now so you don't miss a moment of this riveting courtroom drama as we seek justice for Dr. Amie Harwick.